What's up, duelists? Holy fucking shit! Last weekend was sick. So we threw the biggest Edison tournament online of all time, 123 entrants. Today it's a little bit of a discussion of what went down. I'm joined today by James. What's up, James?
Hello. Hello, hello.
James, tell the people a little bit about what went down at Edison Legends last weekend.
Edison Legends. What a day. A Saturday that will be remembered in history in the Edison community. Yeah, I mean, I'm super happy and proud of what we were done. Keegan, you killed it. We were able to stream for like 10 hours, which sounds exhausting. And I was able to play for a lot of that. And yeah, I think everyone just had a really good time. It exposed a lot of new people to the format. And what I kind of am most interested in is this kind of data because we play in a relatively small Discord server and community of people that we know and play against in this format. But even when someone new comes in to spice things up, like that was kind of how we got started playing because I hadn't played against a really good like dragon or fairy deck before, and like you hadn't played against like a lot of value deck before. So anytime someone comes with a new thing that can progress the meta forward, it's super interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So this chart we've got here is actually a breakdown of that meta that you were talking about from specifically Edison Legends. One of the cool things about doing tournaments online
Mhm.
is we're able to get pretty much real-time stats on what people are playing and what their what their inclinations are when entering a tournament. A few disclaimers about this though is that a lot of people this is a lot of people's first Edison tournament ever. So they are going to be slightly more inclined to bring aggro decks. Wouldn't you say so, James?
Um, I would say aggro decks, and I mean under that umbrella, like just sort of like classic decks like Blackwing and Gladiator Beast. I mean, I think people are just more inclined to bring decks that they know are familiar with. They're We're good for multiple formats if they aren't very experienced. But I will say that all of the people in the top eight, basically, maybe top 16 too, although I didn't play against some of those people, um, I would say have a pretty solid grasp. And it seemed like, at least to some degree, I mean, they've touched some of these cards since 2010, so they have some idea what they're doing.
Yeah, familiarity was huge, especially towards the end of the tournament. The people who knew their decks ended up doing the best. And like, for example, Topher702, shoutouts to him, guy who won the event, he's been playing that Blackwing deck for fucking 11 years, as long as I've known him. And so that familiarity really came into play in a lot of his matchups. He was more comfortable. He knew what to do in sideboarding and stuff. So that was really cool to see. Um, But other
Well,
than
so
that, we have a pretty diverse metagame here, don't we? Like this is
I mean, yeah, like this is totally if you ever went on those top 16 or top 32 or whatever it was deck lists from the actual event, there were like 13 or something different decks in that. And I mean, this is totally reflective of a very diverse format that we've been saying, we've been showcasing with the videos that we say Edison is. I mean, Blackwing, I think a lot of people thought that was going to be the most popular deck, so that did kind of deliver on that. GB, Dragon kind of coming out as a bit of a surprise, at least to me. There were more than I thought.
yeah. I mean, the Dragon deck has been picking up a lot of popularity in the Discord server. People are really fully learning with more time to practice the deck and more experience with it. How to fully utilize like some of the more powerful interactions in the deck, like Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon and stuff. Um, I think one of the biggest surprises from this tournament to me was the Absolute Zero deck. This deck was just I didn't even know this deck was real. I thought this deck got banned out of existence for Edison format, but apparently it's pretty fucking good. Um,
Yeah, people thought it really got weakened by the ban list, and it definitely did with Destiny Draw getting limited to one. But it still just has a lot of tools, I think, that make it match up decently against the meta. And people just always love D heroes. They love their hero combos, so it's kind of the best option if you're going to do something like that, and you don't want to do something like stun.
Exactly. And Absolute Zero also significantly overperformed given its representation percentage. There were three copies of the Destiny Hero Diva Absolute Zero deck in top 16, which is that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's a sick breakout deck. So even in this like really big tournament, there's like a lot of discoveries being made, which is awesome. Really good shit.
yeah. I mean, past Zero and then Diva Frog, which I'm imagining is a combination of lists pretty similar to what we've showcased from Ronak, um, and beyond that, I mean, it's kind of the decks you would expect, just in decreasing quantities. X Saber, it's cool that that's gotten a little more popular as well. But the other category is huge, and I think Jazz, who helped compile this data, shout out to him, and casted for a while, has some of that information on what decks comprise that other. I think it was like if the representation was like one or two people or less, like two people or less. So that's going to be where all your I bet there was a random zombie. I bet there was
Codaris,
some
there was actually a Codaris player.
Codaris
There was a Chaos
fish deck, I
Warriors.
heard.
Yeah, there was a couple fish players. Yeah, no, really, really cool stuff. I think the biggest takeaway from the data that we can see here is that this format has a lot of room to grow. I think that there's still a lot to be discovered here, and it'd be really exciting to see even more new players come in and give their take on it, kind of like how they did for this tournament and this event. I
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
leave a link to like all this in the description, right, James? Like we're gonna leave a link to like all the
yeah, for
stats
sure, and
and
the top 16 deck lists
yeah,
too. That we're gonna touch on a little bit. I mean, I think that it just showcases the diversity, and because even within, even like Gladiator Beast, you have about 9%, but Geist D, who did very well with Gladiator Beast, his build is pretty significantly different than I would wager a lot of the other GB builds that were entered. But even I don't know, even the other GB build, you have Prisma, you have Cat, you have Geist with Triple Icarus. So all these things, even though these are like the broad categories, there's a lot of depth in customizing your individual deck.
absolutely. Especially like Dragon. There was a Dragon deck in the top 4 of this tournament that played no trap cards and was just a bunch of draw spells and had really cool like interactions like Lightning Vortex with Super Rejuvenation, stuff that you wouldn't even like you would need to build around to even see that kind of interaction. So even within these small percentages of representation, the decks have like huge variety in the builds, and that's just so cool. Like this is why this format is so dope.
Totally. And with that as a transition, um, I'm just gonna go down quickly the list of the top 16 decks in order, and then I'll kind of recap it. But in first place we have Blackwing. Shout out Topher 702. Second place Absolute Zero. Third, the Dragon Turbo deck you were just describing. Fourth, Quick Draw Plant with Volcanics. Fifth, Gladiator Beast. Sixth, Flamvel. Seven, Dragon. That's me, by the way.
Congratulations,
Eight,
James.
Diva Frog. Thank you. Just had to throw that in. Eight, Diva Frog. Nine, Vayu. I think these are technically like 9 through 12 since these people kind of got the same. But 9 Vayu, 10 Frog Monarch, 11 GB, 12 Blackwing, 13 Vayu, 14 Zero, 15 Zero, Absolute Zero, and 16 Frog Monarch. And so that leaves us with a total of 3 Absolute Zero decks in top 16, 2 Blackwing decks, and 2 pretty different Blackwing decks, 2 Vayu decks, 2 GB decks, again, pretty different GB decks, 2 Frog Monarch, 2 Dragon, the 1 Turbo one, the 1 more standard one that I played, and 1 Flamvel, 1 Volcanic Plant, and 1 Diva Frog. So yeah, the Zero decks actually like super overperformed because they were the only deck that had 3 slots in the top 16, whereas even Blackwing, which was really overrepresented, only had 2. Just something to think about.
Yes, yes, and also another thing to think about is that there wasn't a single like totally like metagamed like deck that could like that 16 different people play the exact same deck list. Like even the two Frog Monarch decks, like you were saying, the lists in the top 16 that are the same deck, so to speak, they have like 20 cards different between their builds, which is insane. Because you think about a deck, you're thinking like, oh man, it's all the same, but no, not really, not really, really very
Yeah,
different.
in a funny way, the only deck that was I think a 1-to-1 main deck repeat was the Value Turbo deck that was a exact net deck of
Of the one
a
from
deck I
our
won a tournament with.
from the channel, right? The one that
Yeah,
we
from it's on some videos and
yeah.
yep,
So
and
shit.
I would imagine that a lot of the other Value Turbo builds were, almost identical to that.
Yeah. Yes. Ignore that graph. Don't look at it. The one I just scrolled over to. Don't look in that direction, viewers. You don't need to see that one. But yeah, I mean, closing thoughts. Thank you to everyone who entered the event. Holy shit, it was awesome. Thank you to everyone who put it on. Lux Gaming, EDISONFormat.com, FormatLibrary.com. You, James, you and I. Thank
Yeah,
you.
shout out to yourself.
Yeah, shout out to me, bro. Shout out to me. You know how you could shout out to us, actually, viewers, is by smashing the like and the subscribe button and leaving a comment, dude. Honestly, we're trying to hit a bunch more subscribers. This format shows now with being able to put together a tournament of this size that we definitely have the room to grow. And if you want to be part of something big, like before it's big, now's the time to get in on that. You could say you were one of our first 500 subscribers. I mean, you could be the hipster.
Won't be that opportunity for long. Yeah, I would love to have more tournaments. Love to see the meta grow. I think that in the coming weeks we'll have these deck profiles. We'll have more videos using lists from the tournament. So I think there's totally a lot of development now that we've seen these results to counter Blackwings, to counter against Dragons, even to counter against Absolute Zero. If that's going to get more popular. So I think there's a lot of cool metagame shifts that could be seen as a result of this.
Facts, dude. Facts. Peace out, duelists.